is Alex Gatundu. He is a lawyer and a political analyst. Also with us this morning, Stia Galgalo, whose woman rep is Isiolo. Also, Kipruto Arab Kirwa, Deputy Party Leader, ANC. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us here on News Center. I'll begin with you, Galgalo. Your thoughts when you hear about preparedness for the elections. You've heard the reports and some of what the IEBC has been saying, putting out their timelines, and right now they're under verification process. And of course, the civil society organizations expressing not too much confidence there. Are you confident?
I think Electoral Commission have done what they're required to do. I believe we might not have a 100% process, but I think the first thing that we need to understand is the fact that we must have faith in we must believe in our institutions. This is an institution built over the years, not just for election for 2017, something that we've done it before. And I think we've not had really serious problem in terms of legal, in terms of process and procedures that has brought down this country on issues of election. So for me, I think they're already on their timeline. They're already prepared. They're out there in the field doing voter verification. And I know that there's quite a number of issues that are coming up. And I'm happy that they did allow this voter registration exercise, because even in Isiolo, I've heard that people's names that are supposed to be at a certain polling station is in another counties. Is not in their particular polling station. And, you know, people might even raise a lot of issues on this. And I think the process itself will help in terms of correction and in putting together things that might bring a lot of issues towards election time.
Right.
So that is part of preparedness. And I believe they have enough budget, they have enough personnel, they have trained their people. We have new commissioners who are... I believe every election timeline has a timeline because of the Constitution, because of the provision that are provided for in law. Okay. So I think they're within the timeline and they're within their time frame. And I believe the people that are on board, including the new commissioners, are up and running. And I believe they're all over the country ensuring that we have peaceful elections.
Arab Kira, do you share the same confidence? And perhaps on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best in terms of preparedness, where would you rank this IEBC?
Sophia, thank you so much. But what a test, because there are a number of parameters that some extraneous to the Electoral Commission and some of them within their own purview. I look at this election as a process that began with the party primaries, which primaries, some of them were flawed, some of them were convoluted for a number of reasons. Now, where we are today, we are dealing with the issues, as the speaker said a few minutes ago, issues that we might have to go through litigation, to the extent that we might even have some litigation against the Electoral Commission, stopping them from printing ballot papers until certain candidates feel they have been sufficiently given justice. Now, that gives them a backlog that is not necessary. Number two, I would have wanted more communication between Electoral Commission and all the players. That is where they seem to be getting it wrong. We do not want an Electoral Commission that when it speaks, you think somebody from the executive is speaking. We want them to speak to all of us as participants in this election process, and the results shall be determined by the process that we use. Now, in terms of...
but isn't there conferences for all the participants, all the candidates? That's one of the timelines, and we'll be seeing it as we're looking at the IEBC preparations, that they have set these meetings to allow for all stakeholders, all of these participants to be part of.
I agree with you. I agree with you entirely, and that is something very good. But everyday conversation should be uppermost in their own program. They should be doing their PR properly. They should not prejudge to the extent that they seem to know how the process is going to end without involving all the players. And just as the other speakers said, we would not have expected them to take the issue to court, because under the Constitution, and we are happy, we have a lawyer here, Article 86, read together with Article 133, is very clear on how the results are going to be announced. And we are not saying we are going to announce as NASA. They are all going to be officers of the commission, the returning officer and the presiding officer at the polling station. Okay. So all these are issues that the Electoral Commission must engage on before they talk about anything.
That's the biggest issue, before I come to you, Gatundu. That's the biggest issue you would have as party leader, deputy party leader, ANC. And it's one that has been voiced also by the principals in NASA. This question of the tallying and the constituency level being the last word in as far as the results are concerned. Is that the biggest issue? Is there any other, and we'll talk more about that, but is there any other issue in terms of preparedness?
There are so many other issues. There are so many other issues. They have been doing reshuffles of the officers in the recent past.
Which they say is normal. It's part of ensuring transparency. It's part of ensuring there isn't interference, that now I know Arab Kirwa is the guy in my station, so I can tamper with him. So if I change that last minute, you have no...
is it going to be done on the eve of elections?
No.
You know, what they should do is to have a smooth process that is believable. They should be communicating to the public on exactly what they want to do. It is important that we know they do not have any other agenda other than the agenda of overseeing a transparent exercise.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Gatundu, let's hear from you on your thoughts on their preparedness.
I think I would be very uncomfortable using the word grooming or not very grooming. I would like to be very positive on the stages, the processes, the mechanisms, and the systems that have been put in place by IEBC. Remember, we have very young IEBC in terms of the acquisition of the commissioners themselves. They came on board recently after there was an agitation by a section of Kenyans to reconstitute the uppermost echelon of the IEBC. In spite of that fact, they were able to be up and running, and in fact, I remember that Jubilee Party had even requested IEBC to oversee, to manage, and to conduct their party primaries. That was one of the INRE undertaking. However, they were unable to do it because they were fresh in the commission. Now, have they done sufficient? Yes, I would say they have done sufficient. They have been able to do what they are supposed to do. Remember, there are around 21 steps that are supposed to be taken towards the general elections. They have undertaken at least 17 of them. So as far as, and within the timelines that have been given, remember IEBC has not, even for a single step, violated the Constitution of Kenya as far as the timelines and deadlines are concerned. What has been happening is that those times that have been given by the Constitution as far as taking some serious steps are supposed to be concerned, the people who have been beneficiaries of those timelines, some of them have been affected. For instance, independent candidates were affected by the debacle and the charges that affected the political parties. But the timelines are still there. The timelines are still there.
They're still following those timelines.
And they have not even violated a single step.
Galgalo, let me bring this to you, because one of the biggest criticism IEBC is receiving now is that they're doing the bidding, quote unquote, allegedly, for Jubilee with this appeal that's in the Court of Appeal to have still the IEBC chairs, the returning officers, has been. And they say now they're seeking clarification on that particular matter because NASA argues that this must be done at the constituency level. So what do you say to that claim? Because when they appear to be reading from the same script, there are those who say, why do you want to open up the process to what could be tampered with?
I might not be sufficiently prepared to discuss issues that are in court. Of course, you know, it's not allowed to, we are not supposed to discuss it openly.
Yes.
And I think that is outside my expertise to really talk about things that are in court.
Yes.
But basically just to look at the issue of not NASA really, ODM. Because I think this issue, NASA is just a name that I think they're using to cover up and cheat the rest of Kenyans. But what ODM basically is doing...
objection of that statement.
And we'll let you speak.
I'll let you speak.
Okay,
but we have ODM basically saying that they're going to boycott election. And I think that is basically incitement, which is not acceptable to the rest of Kenyans. I believe that election timeline is already set, stage is already set, level playing ground is already set. So the issue of saying we are going to boycott because 1, 2, 3 has not been done, I think it's also not really very fair to Kenyans. We have quite a number of presidential candidates. We've not had all the others speak, but we have one particular ODM team, head by Raila Odinga, who've been there since. I think he started vying from 1997, and he've never, at any one particular time, accepted or considered defeat. And I think none of people who've gone into election have really, sometimes you also say, I've considered defeat. He've never said it. He still wants again to put Kenya into a very awkward situation that we went through, and it's bad history where we don't want to go back.
So you don't think there's a legitimate point to their
there's
concerns?
no legitimate.
It's a country that has had the kind of history we've heard.
Yes. I think this is just another stage that we are setting for a bad example that we've had before, and it's a dark edges that we wouldn't want to go back to.
Arap Kira, respond to the assertion that NASA is not NASA, it's just ODM.
Maybe I just need to do some clarification, because maybe what Kira needs to tell us is, my friend, what he needs to tell us is that now I know he's the head of a party called ANC. The candidates, I believe, and I know that it's going to be under they'll be under ODM ticket, ODM banner, for them to be on the ballot. I know Raila Odinga as a president is going to be under ODM on the ballot. Let him tell us, because I know there's nothing called NASA, it's ODM. And I think it's good to tell Kenyans exactly who you are.
Okay. All right, so clarify on that as we continue on to election preparedness, because on the question of this particular appeal and the sentiments, the remarks that we've heard from the flag bearer, that's Raila Odinga, and other of your principals, is, again, those threats are being deemed as threats and intimidation of a process that is in court.
Well, first of all, Sophia, let me just inform my sister here that NASA is a coalition of parties, and it comprises 5 main parties plus others coming on board through various arrangements. And therefore, yes, in terms of the law of coalition, a coalition is not fielding a candidate per se under the coalition name. It is going to be one of the constituent parties fielding candidates either against each other or in exclusion. In this case, our presidential candidate is a member of ODM and shall be sponsored by ODM. So I want to agree with her on that score. Okay. But it doesn't mean that we are not a coalition. We are a coalition, and NASA is an entity that is already lodged its documents with the Register of Political Parties. So that is the position. Number 2, I just want to assist her that failing to clinch a victory is not a determinant of the next election, because every election is not a repeat experience. It is another experience under different circumstances. And inform the public also that there are cases where people have lost it twice, 3 times, like Abdoulaye Wade of Senegal. He lost 35 years, and when he was 80, he was elected the president of Senegal.
Let's come back to election preparedness before we go to the candidature, because that is a discussion I want us to have on a different day. Yes, and please respond to the question, those that are concerned, even as she has said, that this could be, and very well interpreted in some circles, as threats and intimidation of a matter that's before court. And then why shouldn't or can't NASA argue out this, in court as well?
It has ceased to be a legal process. It has become a political process.
How so?
Because IEBC should have been the last entity to say they are going to court. There should have been another interested party saying this process is going to be flawed because of 1, 2, 3. And the interpretation, and you don't have to be a lawyer. You just have to know sufficient English and read the Constitution as is. The 2 officers, the presiding officer have said, and the returning officer are 2 officers of Electoral Commission. One is going to collect and tally and count and announce in a polling station. Another one is going to do the tallies for the constituency from all polling stations in that particular constituency and announce. And we expect that information shall have been signed by agents of all political parties and candidates, and that information should be reflected at the national level.
And if that's what we are saying,
what you are saying,
let me correct him.
Let him finish his point.
Yes,
just that sentence.
Yeah, before you correct me, and we expect at the national level that the information from grassroots shall reflect the totality of the country.
Okay,
that is what my understanding.
Right. Yes, let me correct him on the constitutional position on the matter. First, let us understand one thing, because there has been this misconception that has been repeated over and over again and has become the truth, which is not the case. There is nowhere in the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya where it is stated that the announcement or the results or the figures that will be announced by the constituency returning officer shall be final. The word final does not exist, and it is not stated anywhere or provided for anywhere in the Constitution. So that is the first thing. Without I'm guarding myself, without going into the merit of the appeal, because we must respect the ongoing case. But looking to the Constitution itself in totality, there is nowhere that the Constitution provides that those particular announcements by the various 290 returning officers all over the country shall be final. They don't know.
But the High Court, as we currently stand, outside of this appeal, had indicated that that be the case. Hence the appeal.
I agree with you, and that is why, why I find the NASA's position on the issue before the Court of Appeal as interesting and ironical in equal measures. If they themselves respected and appreciated the fact that they needed to go to a court of law to have their issue canvassed and resolved by the court of law on the issue of the Elections Act amendment that purported to give or to remove that finality of the announcement, how comes they are not having the same respect and appreciating the Court of Appeal? How comes? They went to the High Court. They were very confident. They appreciated, respected the High Court. How comes they are not respecting the Court of Appeal? What is it that they are fearing? They should leave the entire appeal process to the judges. And remember, intimidating and blackmailing an officer of the court, whether it's an advocate or whether it's a judge, is very, very wrong, because what you do is that you are impugning and impeaching the very institution of justice or dispute resolution in the society. And the moment that happens, you go now to anarchy, which is not where we want to head.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. You had something to say?
Yeah, just to add what my brother said here. I'm happy that he's saying it himself, and that Kenyans should know that there's no party called NASA. It's ODM, basically, and all the candidates.
You're very keen on that.
Yes, yes. Let me say about IEBC. IEBC, I think they went to court, and I think if it's IEBC or any other interested party, because even Kenyan can go to court. So the fact that IEBC went to court does not make it any less thing for them to go to court. So I think matters in court should be respected, and I will respect our institution. And I've said that before, and I want to repeat it again. It's better for us to respect the institutions that we have. We believe in them, so that we'll be able to move forward. Because every time when we, for example, keep on poking holes on institutions that we've agreed to come up with and improve on it and ensure that at least we have a better institution. I think it's very wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if, and let me play the devil's advocate again, it's a matter before court, but because of the pronouncements that your principals have already made, allow me to ask this. If the Court of Appeal does not find in your favor, your leaders have said to boycott the election. To boycott because of a court ruling, because this will not be the doing of an individual, it will be a court of law for which your leaders have all sworn to uphold the rule of law. So go against that. Isn't that anarchy, as we're hearing?
Well, I have faith in the legal process and in the judicial system of Kenya.
Even when that legal process goes against your wishes?
All the time we've always respected, even the Supreme Court ruling that gave them a verdict that the President Uhuru Kenyatta becomes the president. 50+1 notwithstanding, we accepted, and we still accept. But what I just wanted to share with my brother here, I have not said that Section 86B talks about the results being final. What we are saying is that let us respect the process from the beginning. And the beginning is the time they tally at the polling station, they count and announce at the polling station and also at the constituency, because that is where forms are filled. So we should respect those forms as the fait accompli at that particular level. Let that information be the information transmitted to the national level. So I've not
Can I-
talked about, and there is nowhere.
Yes.
He's a lawyer. He can read that section.
All right, and we'll continue with this conversation,
Yeah.
but I want to take us